pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Okay, savvy investors out there, today, man, this is a heartfelt episode. Why? I don't know. It's about time. Well, anyway, a lot of people, you may not know me anyway. My name is Steven Van Kellenberg. I am the Savvy Landlord. I've written a book called The Savvy Landlord back in, it came out in 2012. And it's an interesting ride. It was a dream come true to write a book. Anyway, when I wrote the book, I was meeting with a friend named Jason Gradalucian, and he helped me through that whole process of writing the book and just encouraging me, and he was instrumental in the printing and all kinds of stuff. And after the book was released, he asked me, he's like, hey, can I give a copy of the book to a friend of mine? And I was like, oh, yeah, no big deal. You know, and back then I realized that people don't read, and so I didn't think that they would read the book. I just really wanted to write a book, and it was a year of pain and sorrow. Anyway, this gentleman that's in the studio today named Alex Albers got a copy of the book and read the book and told my friend that he wanted to meet me. And it was like, it was an awkward situation that he wanted to meet me. And I was like, okay. So he showed up at a real estate club meeting, and I met him. And I was like, you know, he was just asking me, he was real quiet and just asking me a lot of questions about real estate and why. And the crazy thing is, I asked him, I go, so what are you going to do in real estate? And he wanted to get into real estate for one major reason that really impacted my life was that he has leukemia, and the medicine is $10,000 a month. And I can see in his heart and his eyes, through his eyes, that he was trapped in his day job, that he's been working in the printing industry in sales for over 20 years, grinding it out because he has to work there, because he has to get insurance, and that insurance pays for his medicine that he has to take every month. And it's just corrupt, that society, that medication is so expensive, and it's just overpriced, and insurance, and it's just a bunch of drama. But he's almost there. He did his dream, and we spent a lot of time in the beginning. He was actually the first person I actually spent time with, and I wouldn't say coached. He just asked questions, and I just helped him. And he was like, hey, can you I got a question. How do I do this? How do I do that? And after I don't even know how long, but he told me the other day that he's almost out, and he has 10 units, and we're going to talk more about this and how it all came about. But first of all, I'm humbled that someone actually read my book. And the second thing that almost tears me up is that, you told me a couple weeks ago that you're almost out. So please welcome to the show, Alex Albers.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
All right. So what spurred you? Have you ever thought about real estate before?
Oh, I had thought about it before, but I just thought it was too big for me. I thought you had to have a lot of money. I didn't understand when people said, use the bank's money, use other people's money. It just didn't make sense to me. And so it seemed like a hill I couldn't climb, actually, because I thought you just had to have so much money, capital.
Right. And so it was expensive, and you were, normally paycheck to paycheck, or did you had some savings though, right? You were saving some money at the time, I remember.
Sure, I had some savings.
Saved up, but you just didn't know it was big enough to get into what you were
exactly
about to get into. So what when you read the book, did it motivate you? Did it, when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, wow, I could be rich. Okay. So what was your feeling when you read the book?
Well, I was able to relate. I was just thinking, I thought, I can do this.
If this chubby dude could do it, I could do it.
Well, it was just awesome the way you would actually showcase your faults, and you'd bring them out to the open and say, hey, don't do this. This is what I did. Don't do this. This is a common mistake. And it just actually seemed like something I could actually do. So
it was more actually of practicality.
Exactly.
So it was practical. It was, and I did in the book, I did write Oklahoma City addresses, because I read a lot of books in my lifetime, and it's like, oh, you can be rich, just buy my course or read this book. And, and it was like false information. And so I really, truly wanted to write a book that, that people can relate to and be practical. Like, I actually bought these properties with no money. So what made you pull the trigger? I mean, and did you have influences from your wife? What was a defining moment? Like, we met, okay, great. You read the book, great. But you did all the hard work. You made the decision. You pushed forward. What was that defining moment?
Well, I think I just realized that I had found something that was actually possible to do and to get out of my day job. I had tried and looked at all other kinds of areas, and it just wasn't feasible. How do you get out of a job that you're making a certain pay at? If you're going to go to another industry, you got to start at the bottom. And this is something that I could actually do on the side and do in my part-time and on the weekends. Luckily, I was kind of handy and knew how to use with some tools, and had friends that did, so it was completely possible for me, and I could see that.
That's a good point out there, folks, investors. He has 21 years invested into an industry, so if he wanted to make more money, he would have to kind of start over or learn a new trade. And exactly. So I guess that is fearful, because you can't just walk away from your job. A lot of commercials, oh, you'll be a millionaire tomorrow, buy my course. So you did it on the part-time. So what did you start just looking at houses on the side? What was your next step? Can you remember back then? And how long ago did you read the book? I mean, I wrote the book in 2012 is when it came out. So you've been...
Well, I bought my first property in February, March of 2013.
So a year later.
So about a year later. And our friend that you mentioned, Jason Grotlushin, was actually leaving the printing industry and going into real estate.
Cool. So he was...
So it was kind of falling all into place for me, as far as having somebody that can help me find houses, having somebody like you that I could talk to, get advice from.
Yeah, and I remember Jason, I'm going to have him on the radio pretty soon, but he was chastised for leaving. He left a well-paying job, got a free car, free gas, free phone.
People couldn't believe it.
And people were blasting him, and I remember spending a lot of time with him and just encouraging him, you can do anything you want to do. But yeah, that's a great story. I forgot about that. And now he's killing it. He was like the rookie of the year real estate agent. And the income that he makes now, I know he doubled his income from his other job, and which is just fascinating. So, all right. So that was in place. So he kind of motivated you too as well, right? Because he walked away from a secure position.
He did. He motivated me because I'm in the same position he's at.
Cool. So then you just started looking at houses. Like what let's talk about your first deal. How'd you find that deal? How did it come about?
Actually, you helped me find the house. You knew the person that was selling it.
Is it the one in Del City?
It is. It's the off 41st Street.
The blue one?
Mm-hmm.
That was your first deal?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That one, and I want to say I got one in Midwest City like a week later.
Yeah, I thought you had something already rolling.
It came in like twos.
Okay, cool.
So you read the book a year later. Your friend, one of your closest friends, leaves the job, says, "Hey, I'm going to go be a real estate agent,"
which is just funny. And then a realtor told me about this house, and I went and looked at it, and I was like, I don't buy in Del City, and I just gave it to you. Okay, so, and then at that same time, you were looking at another house in Midwest City. So you were looking. Your main first thing was that you were just looking at houses all the time on the internet.
I was eager to get my first house. I'd done the research. I'd done the study. I was, hey, I need to get my first house. So I was putting bids out here, putting bids out there, and it just happened to be that two of them came in at the same week.
Okay, so you got this house. Now beforehand, I mean, I know I've coached you and stuff. So you went and got pre-organized with pre-approval, whatever, with a bank.
Correct. I was already set up with a bank.
And let's talk about that, and we'll come back to that deal. But how was that process? Because that's the question I get all the time. I have no money. I can't borrow money. And I mean, I love to borrow money from a bank. I think it's the smoothest process. But that's me personally, but because I work a lot on it. How was that process for you?
It wasn't bad. I was kind of lucky because I had good credit. I have decent credit, and that's key to this business. I never knew how important that would be when you're a kid and people were telling you, don't get bad credit, but it paid off with this situation.
And you didn't go to a traditional bank, right? Your first loan is at First Security?
That's correct, yeah.
And they're just more of a real estate type of bank. And I thought their emphasis wasn't necessarily on credit. What makes you think that?
He just kept telling me I have good enough credit to where...
And you have a day job.
Oh, yeah. That sure helped, too. Because I had income coming in.
Most especially on your first deal, that's the hardest deal, is to acquire your first asset with a bank because you have no track record. Did that come up in a conversation with him?
Like you were saying, I just had I had income coming in from a day job,
and that was the risk.
I think that was.
Did he give you a certain amount of money to start with?
No, it was just based on the house, what the house appraised for, and he'll loan a certain percentage of what the house appraised for.
So it's simple. So at that time, and of course you're a veteran now. Okay, 10 units later, a couple of years later, it's only been 2 years.
Yep, almost 3, but not long at all. It hadn't been very long at all.
So back then you were just like, I'm just excited I can get money, free money. But I remember you were willing to pay cash anyway. You were saving up. So you got pre-approved in essence. It was based on the asset. So tip right there, guys. Find a bank that loans on the asset, not necessarily on the contract or you personally. So you got the deal. Let's talk about the numbers now of the deal. How much did it appraise for? What'd you acquire it for? What'd you have to do? And you're running it out now.
Well, this blue house, it needed quite a bit of work. Pretty much every room needed something to do with it. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, everything. And I got the house for $33,000 or $32,900, something right around there. I want to say it appraised for mid-50s, 56 or something.
Cool.
So, I mean, you can find houses. They're out there, but they need work.
Sure.
And there's tons of houses out there banks will loan you money, but they need a lot of work. And you get the work done, and then you can reap the rewards. That house needed a lot of work. I want to say it took me 6 months, 7 months, and I had a crew doing the painting. I had a crew doing the floor. I mean, I was just excited to get it going. When I rented it out, I ended up renting it out for $850 a month.
Wow.
So right there, I signed a contract with some renters that were going to pay me almost $10,000 on this house.
I love that you said that $10,000. When I sign leases, I think of the bulk number.
Exactly.
So, not to be, weird, but why did it take you 6 months? Is that because you did it part time, or was it a massive rehab?
I think it was massive rehab, and it was my first time. If I were to run into this house now, 3 years later, it would probably take me 3 to 4 months rather than 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Just kind of a learning curve.
Now, I remember when you were so excited you got it done. I liked the house. It was on a corner lot. You have a garage access off of one street. And the cool thing, it was right by a school. And it was right by a bank, which is even cooler. So people could just make deposits for you. But what was the process of, what'd you learn? What'd you do wrong, or what'd you do right on that property?
Oh, wow. Not sure, really.
Okay. So I remember your wife was there. You said, hey, I got this deal done. I got it rehabbed, and I saw it before.
She was terrified when she saw the house.
The first time?
Oh, yeah. She couldn't believe what I just did.
What's her first name so we can reference?
Shade. Her name is Shade.
Shade? Cool. My wife is Shanae. So Shade, see, I remember when it was done, and she was doing she was thrifty, and she was decorating.
She was super excited, and she loves to stage the houses.
Yeah. I remember I was like, dang, where'd you get this chair? And she was like all giddy. It was like $3 at a garage sale. And
Right.
it looked, when I drove up there, I was like, dang, these people dropped like $300 just on furniture. She's like, no, I paid $5 for that. And she was so happy. But when you mentioned earlier that when you got the property and you showed it to her in the bad condition, what was her thoughts? She's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, exactly. She couldn't believe I bought this house. She didn't know what the heck I was doing. So.
Okay. How about the fear? Did you have any fear at all on your first deal? Was it smooth? And then you said it appraised for 55. You asked for 30. Did you get no money down at closing? Did you have to pull money down, or how did that go down?
I loaned enough money to buy the house, and I want to say I came up with closing money at the closing.
Okay. Oh, because I remember you told me this, that you didn't borrow as much as you could have. You kind of you wanted to be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, because I had that second house on my mind, back in my head too, and I want to keep everything I can as low as possible.
And I remember I was like beating you up. No, nobody down. And you were like, you ignored me. And you were like, you were going to play the conservative role. And I think that was really smart, because I talked to the banker later, and you're like a star borrower, because you came in and that's another tip for you. When you're communicating to a bank, your persona should be conservative. It should be slow and steady, and not say, hey, how can I get this house no money down? So you got the money, you put some money down, you did the rehab on your own. Now, your equity is huge in there, right? Because have you refinanced the property yet, or still
I haven't refinanced any properties yet.
Okay, awesome. So you acquired the asset. Now you have an asset, and then boom. And then let's get into the second deal. How'd you find that deal?
That one came from Jason Grotlushin, the realtor friend.
Okay, so great. Dividends are being paid from that relationship. And then how'd that deal go down? What was the cost? Can you remember?
Yeah, I paid $29,500 for that house, and it was in Midwest City. I want to say the appraisal came through at upper 40s, 46, 47.
And this is on a street that I have a house across the street.
Yep, you have about two, maybe more than
You have
one
a
or
few
two in there, yeah.
I have a couple over there, but I remember because I remember walking out of the house and I'm like, that's my homie's house.
And I want to say it may have been listed because there's a Locust Street and then there's some other kind of Locust Avenue.
Locust Drive and Locust Lane.
Well, not just there, but like up towards the Highland area.
Okay.
And I think everybody was looking at that house up there.
So the listing realtor had it wrong in the MLS.
So, because I
love
mean,
that.
they took my first offer. I said, okay, well, we didn't see anything wrong with the house. This man just passed away. He kept great care of his house.
Yep.
Great care of everything. Everything was in shape, taken care of. And I took a chance. I said, okay, ask $29,500 is good.
And it was listed for like $35,000?
It was listed for $35,000. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I kind of remember this house. So
they came back and they just accepted my offer, no negotiations or what.
So were you nervous?
Yes, I said, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? I looked around. I was, Jason, what did I miss? You were there. What? How come they're not negotiating?
And he was relatively a new realtor.
He was a brand new realtor. So I was just luckily. I don't know. It worked out.
All right. So I remember this house as well. I went and looked at it, and it was like, wow, it's just a little dated.
Yeah, it was a little dated. It needed paint inside and outside. And I think I put a linoleum floor on the kitchen.
Yep, I saw that.
And cleaned the heck out of it. And that's all I did to that house.
And then you rented it out. So you got it for $29,500, maybe $1,000, a couple $1,000 in it.
Mm-hmm. I want to say $2 or $3 in it, and I rent it out for $650 currently.
And you've only had 2 tenants in there.
I have. It's only 2 tenants.
Because I remember that first tenant you got in there that was so good, they prepaid, or they're from Kansas City.
They were from out of town, and they were there for about a year and a half, year and 6 or 8 months, and then I just signed a new tenant in there in actually February is going to be her. She's going to be in there a year.
Wow. And it's a 2-bed, too, right?
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom, 1 bath, 29, listed for $35,000. So you're just killing it out there. What is there any other books that you've read that have help you? I mean, 2 hits already successful. How did you come up with that stuff? And don't say it's me, because I'm already got an ego, but I don't need another one. But I'm just saying, like, how.
I think that
did you read anything?
I didn't really read anything. I just saw the value that I got from those 2 houses, and I wanted to try to keep my plan the same on my future houses.
Yeah, what type of houses are you looking for now? Like, do you have a zone that you buy in? Or are you just looking for anything that cash flows? And I know that you're really hot to trot on the Northwest side, and I think everybody is.
Right.
Because you got some smoking deals over there. But what's your characteristics, and what do you look for now?
Well, the first house was in Del City, that blue house, and the second house was in Midwest City. And I live in Northwest, 19th and Penn. So my travels to this house every night after work I had almost 2 hours in drive time. So I just said, I'm going to start buying houses up here. There's plenty of houses up here that need work. And the last, all but one that I've bought have been on the Northwest side. Because it's just so much more convenient for me to go work on them after work, and closer to the hardware stores, closer to everything. It just made more sense. So
now, when you say working on them, are you working on them yourself? Are you doing some of the work? And I know that you had a handyman on that second house, and that's the last time I've actually talked to you. You've ran a couple of deals past me, but...
I have somebody, they work on the house on a daily basis, and I leave work and I go help them.
So construction tip number 1 is go by the job site every day. I'm telling you, I've lost this last week alone. I had a guy put in a window in a bathroom they shouldn't have, because I didn't go by the job site. I was 3 or 4 days behind. It happened to me on a shower. I mean, so every day you go by the job site. And are you currently working on a property right now?
No, we just finished one in Del City.
And you got that rented out, or you got it listed?
It's
That's right.
listed. It's listed. It's haven't got too much hits. I don't know if it's the time of the year.
Probably December is not the best.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on into being a landlord. What's that so far? What's the process? And any of these houses that you've acquired, these 10 units, and you have a triplex out of those 10 units. Before we get into property management and being a landlord, Have you learned anything else in this process about money or borrowing money? Have you borrowed all your money from the same bank?
I borrowed all from the same bank.
Have they ever tried to cut you off or say your lending limit is this much?
No, not at all. In fact, I think they want me to loan more money from them.
I love banks. That's what I'm saying. People, guys, you can get money out there. It's just how you represent yourself. You can tell that Alex, just on this interview, is calm, cool. He's never been on the radio, never been on the microphone before, but he's real relaxed. I mean, I don't know if he's nervous or not. I can't tell. And you're probably just like this when you sign your first deal. You're like, I can't believe they're giving me money.
It was crazy because my first deal wasn't through a realtor. It was through an individual investor.
Yeah, and that investor's pretty gangster.
Yeah, and so you helped me out with that deal.
Yeah, I was like, watch your back on this deal and make sure you do everything right. Yeah. I mean, it's just a wonderful success story, and especially your motivation behind it. All right, now let's get into being a landlord. What do you like that so far? Do you like it, hate it? Have you considered any other alternatives or any problems? Tell me.
No, it just is what it is, We try to make our houses, when we fix our houses up, we do them really, really nice as far as we seal up everything. We caulk everything. We make just everything just as indestructible as possible. We make sure everything's functioning properly. By doing this, we really don't get a lot of calls. But when we do, I get on them quick, and it just is what it is. Hey, I got a plumbing problem. Okay, I'll call up, and I get a plumber over there as soon as I can. I take care of them as best I can and as quickly as I can, and they reciprocate and they understand that and they appreciate that, and they in return get me my rent on time.
And they do.
I can use that as a bargaining tool. Hey, you told me yesterday something was wrong with your plumbing. I had somebody out there yesterday.
Yeah, jump on it.
This is the first of the month. I need my rent.
Cool. No negative problems yet? And a lot of your properties are in pretty decent low areas, and not like mine. A lot of mine are in a war zone, but...
No major problems yet. Not at all, really.
Have you had any professional tenants? Have you had to kick anyone out yet?
I haven't had to evict anybody. I had a problem with some folks in Del City, but they were just really on bad times. So I just took their word for it, and we got through the last 2-3 months, and they're back on time. I could tell they were good folks, so we're in good standings again.
And
now.
then they're back and they're paying. Right?
Yep, they're back and they're paying.
Wow. I mean, guys, listen, this guy came out of nowhere, worked his day job for 20 years, still doing his day job, and has 10 units within almost 3 years, and it's still rolling. What more millionaires are made through real estate? I'm excited. What's your goals now in real estate? Is there, two goals? What's your goal on acquiring a property? Do you have a certain criteria? Do you do a 3-bed, 2-bed? Is there a money amount? Let's talk about that. What's your goal when you're looking for a property or about to acquire the asset?
Well, I look for 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Those are easiest to rent out, seems to be. I'll take a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, no problem. I have one bedroom. It's kind of a weird deal, but it's a great house, and it's easy to keep renting because it's such a great little house. But I do look for 3 bedrooms, and I look for smaller homes. I kind of took this advice from you. If you have a smaller home and you have to replace a roof, you have a smaller price on your roof. If you have to replace the carpet, you have a smaller price on your carpet. Because in the margins, you can get about the same. I mean, we're talking very few extra money for a 1,500 square foot house than a 1,000 square foot house. And a 1,000 square foot house is so much cheaper and easier to take care of.
Awesome. And I know that I have a 3,000 square foot house, and I was trying to flip it, and the carpet alone cost me $5,000 because I went up a grade in carpet, and I really wanted to sell this thing on retail. And when the carpet guy called me back, and he's like, yeah, it's 5,000. I almost had a heart attack. 5,000. I don't even know what the percentage of the home it is.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I like, so what you're saying is for a 1,000 square foot house, you're going to get $750 a rent. And you're probably on a 1,500 square foot house, you might get $800 or $775 or $750.
Exactly.
But your carpet repair or your roof repair is by 30-40%.
It far exceeds what you're not making.
What a good tip. All right, so that's a good. So you're looking for 3 beds, smaller homes. Any specific area? Northwest, obviously.
Northwest. I'm real familiar with the houses in Northwest, and I try to stay between the $30,000 and $40,000 range.
Why is that? Well,
I say when we very first started, I did that because, what if I don't rent this thing out for 6 months? Well, heck, it's a $30,000. We're talking about $250 payments to the bank.
That's so funny.
How can you go wrong? I can get this thing rented out sooner or later,
I have that same. And I still 20 years later, man, I'm still think that way.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And then, and I got like 6 vacancies this month. So I understand that. All right. So what's your goals overall in real estate in general? Like, is there so many houses you want to own or a certain number that you want to make a month?
I've got a number of houses in my head. I'd like to have about 25 paid for.
Debt-free.
Debt-free. That's my goal. I'd like to do that in about 10 years.
Okay.
From the time I started, so I have about 7 more years left.
Dude, you're killing it. I mean, you're going to get to that goal faster.
Well, I hope so.
That's incredible. Man, I don't even know what else to ask you. I'm just so blown away. You just make it so smooth and so simple. Is there any other advice that you would give someone out there right now, a rookie, that you can help with?
I would just say keep it small and keep it simple. And if you really want to do it, just pull the trigger. You may pay $1,000 or $2,000 extra for your first house. I think I did, but in the long run, it seems like in the long run with this business, $1,000 or $2,000 overpayment is really nothing 3 or 4 years down the line. It's really nothing at all.
True. All right. Well said. Well, Alex, it has been a pleasure for you to be on the radio show. I definitely will have you back. You are just in my heart, just your motivation. And I hope and pray that you can get out of the rat race and be financially free for you and your family and never think about medication again. Thanks for taking the time from your day job.
No problem. I thank you.
And hopefully the next time I bring you back is that you don't have a day job.
Exactly.
All right. Whatever you do, savvy investors out there, buy assets. If you got some time, if you want to be on the radio show, you want to encourage Alex, or you have a connection with him or some form or fashion, you can go to our website, which is savvyradioshow.com, click a button and actually record a voicemail, and I will forward it to Alex. I'm not going to get his phone number on the radio today. He doesn't need his phone being blown up, especially on his day job. But if you want to get in contact with him or encourage him or even meet with him, I know he's limited on his day job time, but he would love to connect with you, and I know he would buy a deal from you. So if you're a wholesaler, let me know and you want to get in contact. And if you got some stuff that's for sale in Del City, just go to savvyradioshow.com and I'll put you in touch with them. But whatever you do, all you do every day, think about it, do it, buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.